So what will proceed next is us talking about Negima and Yuki Order. The reason why is so we could talk about Negima and Yuki Order together in a kind of recorded space.
I just finished reading Yuki Holder. I finished Negima quite a while back.
Tune in next week for...
We don't know.
We're unsure of what's going to be next week. We'll figure out soon.
But we're going to talk about Negima and Yuki Holder because Negima is one of my favorite mangas.
Yeah.
It's actually
Isn't it your favorite manga?
It is my favorite manga. That anime does not do it justice at all.
Yeah, Negima, there's absolutely no reason to watch the anime when the manga is just so different and so much better in so many ways.
I remember I presented to you. First, I presented to you like, I don't know about this, man. I really don't know about this. And then eventually we did the little trade where I read Yamada, you decided to read Negima, and you read through Negima and absolutely loved it too.
Yeah, I think I took a break.
During the summer.
I took a break during the summer. I'd finished right after the end of the festival arc.
Yeah.
I finished up.
And then
I stopped there, and I took a long break because that's right after things kind of stopped being interesting for a bit. And then Magic World started, and I just got sucked in again during the summer, and I read through all of it, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, and then
I just finished Yuki Holder.
And then I told you, the thing is, I've been harping on you for weeks.
As Yuki Holders a weekly, every time a new chapter comes out, Andrew gets super hyped, and so I'm the only one who's even read close enough to
do you understand my hype for the past 17 weeks in a row?
These last couple chapters of Yuki Holder were really pulling me in, and now things are about to start now.
So let's start with let's chronologically go into this.
Jump back.
Let's talk about Negima. I mean, we've had a little decompression about this, but can you can you safely say this? This is a very unique piece of writing.
It's extremely unique. I mean, you start out with this typical school harem setting. You have a teacher who's younger than
the students,
and he has a class in a full girls' school.
And
at least at that section.
And then the twist is that he's a magician, and then it starts off with all these harem eki.
It's basically in the beginning just feels like a fan servicey harem.
Love Hina,
very Love Hina-esque.
If you don't know, it's written by the same person who did Ken Akamatsu, who also did Love Hina. So it's like if you read Love Hina and then you go into Negima, it's like he wrote Negima right off the heels of finishing Love Hina.
Yeah. And it starts out this way, and it sticks for a good 70 chapters or so, I believe.
But if you actually look into the background about it, apparently he wanted to write a battle manga. But his publishers are like, you really did well on Love Hina. So, why do you want to do a different genre? Just do
the same genre again.
And so he goes, okay, I'll do it. But in the back of his head, I'm like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do.
And write a battle manga. And so what starts out as this, harem, fan-servicey sort of setup slowly starts to evolve its way into being a really interesting and unique sort of shonen-y battle manga.
Yeah, and you hit festival, and it goes from that change from eki harem romance to battle eki harem.
Yeah.
And just it just goes places where I've described this as Berserk-esque at some moments.
Only in very small ways.
In very small ways. Not it's Berserk, but
it feels nothing like Berserk, but
there's moments where you kind of go. There's some inspiration from Mora in here somewhere, where where you have the demons attacking that massive demon army. You have Fate, this guy with white hair fighting Negi, and the tension between the two of them, and you get this. You see this kind of progression of also the character as you start off as he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Starts building him up in Festival as it does the turn. It does the greatest thing that I've ever seen in a Festival arc with that whole
It just builds itself bigger and bigger and bigger.
Because I have to say, Festival arc is one of the best arcs I've ever read. As it does time travel as it's looping backwards. It does the tournament as he's fighting in the tournament. It does the huge war between robots and mages.
Yeah, there's a lot of festival arcs out there for a lot of different manga and anime. in light novels, and it's been done in a lot of different ways. And from everything I've read and watched and seen, nothing's done it quite like this. Negima's extremely unique.
And then you
in the way
end with the hypest fight with using time travel on that blimp, and setting up so many plot points that you don't realize until later on.
Way later.
Like that moment where like Chow is using Magic Arabia.
Yeah.
And you go, what is this?
Going on here?
You fast forward, and it's because, she's a descendant, so obviously she would have Magic Arabia.
Of course.
Then you move into Magic World as you start building this amazing world with backstory.
Yeah.
And you do the Digimon where all the characters...
Yeah, exactly. This is my favorite part of the whole series of Negima. At least Negima specifically. We'll see how Yukio Holder goes. I bet you something will top this. Something might have already sort of topped this. I haven't quite thought through that yet. My favorite...
I have some thoughts, yeah.
But my favorite part of Negima is just the like tougher members of the class, plus a few who happen to sneak in, all get pushed into Magic World. And they go there because they're looking for Negi's dad. And the thing is, as soon as they get there...
Immediately plot starts.
Yeah, plot starts, and it does something that I've seen happen in Digimon before, and it was one of my favorite plot points, and I feel like, as much as it seems like it actually happens a lot,
it doesn't happen as much.
It doesn't happen that much, where basically the gate that they came through is destroyed, and all of the characters are scattered throughout the entire Magic World.
And they spend the next, 50, 60 chapters
trying to get everyone back together. And you have little bits following all these different characters as they try to meet up and survive and get together.
And when you finally get to them all together, it's the culmination of everyone back together.
Exactly.
With them doing the coolest, final arc. After rereading it a second time, First time I read it, again, I've expressed this. That ending left me salty because there were so many plot points set up. But then, I discovered the stuff about how he was trying to keep his copyright and stuff like that, not get cheated out of money because publishers are evil.
He's had a lot of problems.
He's had a lot of publishers, animation studios, a lot of things.
Yeah, his work should be read as his original works and don't do any supplementary stuff.
Oh, Negima Neo. Anyway.
Yeah, ignore Negima Neo. Don't watch Negima. Just read it. Get through the first 70 chapters and you'll start to understand where this is going.
And then you get to when I read that second time, I'm like, no, this is very final arc
Yeah.
Where the moment where they literally go, yo, Negi, only 36 other people could probably hold a candle up to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because he's so strong.
He's extremely powerful.
You get to that culmination of that huge fight with Fate and just everything in the Magic World riding on this moment. And then you include the school back with it. And then you bring back the war from Festival Arc.
Yeah.
And you bring it to a higher scale.
And it all just comes together in this one point, which is great. And the thing that should be known about this, I read this way later after it finished, but apparently, was it 3 chapters before?
5 chapters.
5 chapters before the manga ended, they announced it was going to end. And it was a weekly at that point, right?
Yeah, so literally I heard 5 chapters left in Negima, and I go, what? Okay, how are you going to end this?
Yeah, how are you going to end this?
And they kind of do a nice ending. After rereading this, I actually go, that's actually a pretty decent ending. And
me reading it all at once, together, from start to finish, all the way through, especially knowing it was going to end when it was going to end, because you only have so many chapters left, it felt very complete, and it worked for me, but apparently he had to wrap it up within 5 episodes.
Well, because you see you see the Magic World arc, and there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of setup that they just drew up. And I'm really, and again, we're going to talk about this, he's picking up
picking up piece by piece everything he's left behind.
And I read this weekly, a little bit. I think it's when he was first getting Magia Arabia, when when Rakan's training, which Rakan biggest G in the entire game.
Jack Rakan's pretty great. I had a reference to that recently, which was it was a weird reference actually. We'll talk about that when we get there.
No, because I'll mention that in Negima, Jack Rakan goes, I fought a lightning spirit before. So when you go back to that, it's a reference back to Jacker Khan saying, I fought a lightning sphere, because it's the same person.
Yeah.
But Jacker Khan, one of the greatest characters in this entire series, because he's the biggest G in the entire world, and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone sees Jacker Khan and goes, this guy is the biggest G. He's amazing.
He's like on par with Nagi, who is like one of the most powerful figures around.
And then you actually see him in the big fight between Negi and Khan, and you go, yeah, this guy's the biggest G in the world.
This guy's really going ham here. It was an awesome fight.
And then you get Magi Arabia as one of the coolest magical abilities I've ever seen, where you basically absorb the enemy's power, and you absorb it into yourself, and then you use it to fight that other person.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's sort of like defensive and offensive at the same time. Yeah. You're able to absorb incoming power. It's kind of like redirecting lightning in Avatar, except taken many steps further.
Yeah, where you literally are taking in their power and redirecting it on themselves,
into whatever form.
It's very equivalent of like the counter in.
A counter. Well, it's a lot like Roy's counter in Melee, where the damage is equivalent to the amount of energy or damage that you're taking in.
Exactly, and now that you've finished Negima, you're now in the leagues of us who are like, man, Negima is one of the most underrated pieces that no one's ever heard about. No one wants to touch because of how it starts. But the people who've gotten through it all agree. I've not seen another person who's disagrees with us who's
gotten through Negima
who don't think it's one of the best written things they've ever read.
Negima's pretty great. It's just super fun the whole way through. It's got
a
huge cast of characters.
You get
most of them
characters.
are really interesting.
Yeah, and each one are unique.
Yeah.
Each one has their unique personalities and their own thing, and they all have their own stories going on.
Yeah.
And that last chapter is the culmination of, hey, this is what everyone ended up doing.
Yeah, this is how they all came together.
Yeah, this is
good stuff.
And then, so then he finishes Negima, and then, for me, I felt empty for 4 years.
Yeah.
I felt an extreme emptiness for 4 years of, my favorite manga, my favorite series, and I feel it's highly underrated because no one else has read it. No one knows about how great this is.
Yeah.
And then I hear, oh, hey, that Negima thing? Yeah, there's another... He continued it. It's called Yukio Holder.